I would like to briefly tell few words about him. Sri R. Bandyopadhyaya joined IAS, Indian Administrative Services, in 1974. He has a brilliant academic record with first class passed in MSc Physics from the University of Calcutta and post-world MSc degree from Saha Institute of Nuclear Physics. Sri R. Bandyopadhyaya later on has done master's degree in rural development from the University of East Anglia, Norwich, United Kingdom. During his long service career, he occupied various important positions in the state of West Bengal as well as Government of India. At the field level, he served as district magistrate and collector in the districts of Bankura and Bharadwan in West Bengal, and amongst other things, he functioned as Special Secretary in the Department of Commerce and Industry, Secretary and Principal Secretary in Department of Public Sector Undertakings and Industrial Reconstruction, Urban Development, Water Investigation and Development, Planning and Development and Power. A whole lot of variegated experience. In Delhi, he worked in the Ministry of Industry and the Ministry of Steel at different levels. Before joining as Secretary DPE, he has worked as Special Secretary in the Department of Telecommunications and earlier to that as Additional Secretary in the same department. During his tenure at DOT, he has made a remarkable contribution and the phenomenal growth of telecommunication sector in the country. He has functioned as chairman for the review of the spectrum allocation policy, as well as served as Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited, one of the largest public sector enterprises, as government director. He has also worked as a senior advisor, that is the rank of additional secretary to the Government of India, in the Planning Commission, and was closely connected in the exercise of formulation of 11th five-year plan, particularly in the rural development and Panchayat Raj sectors. He has also functioned as a member of the Committee on the Financial Inclusion, headed by Sri Rangarajan, ex-governor of RBI. The final report of which has been submitted to government a few months back. Apart from his official work, Sri Bandyopadhyaya has keenly associated with modern management. Particularly the various aspects of the management of change. With his vast experience and exposure in the industrial sector for a very long period, both at the state as well as central level, Sri Bandyopadhyaya is now in a very suitable position at DPE to monitor and help formulating suitable policies. And who can be the best man to talk about central public sector enterprises, growth path and challenges ahead? We know that today central public sector undertakings are at a crossroads, and they had a state of the best performance during the last few years. Forget about Tanven. It is a transformation which has taken most of the public sector undertakings during the last 5 years have done so marvelously. The capitalization, market capitalization of those which have been listed has gone up tremendously. Even the IPO scenario which you are going to see within a short while is going to be very, very impressive. And government is in a position to say that about 10,000 crores they can raise from the CPH. So now we are at a threshold where central public sector undertakings have introduced or have adopted new pay scales for their officers, which constitute performance related pay, which is at the lowest level 40% to highest level of 200% it goes. With this kind of a scenario, they are poised to challenge their counterparts in the private sector and even MNCs. And there are challenges, there are also certain apprehensions in the mind of some of the people, whether certain selected public sector undertakings would be divested to give us an elaborate and in-depth analysis into this kind of scenario. Dr. R. Bandyopadhyay is with us. I request him to take on the podium, and meanwhile I want Dr. Mishra sir to just say a few keynote words before we start.
Bandyopadhyay sir, Sri Bhalerao ji, very senior policymaker in the government of Andhra Pradesh. General Chitpal sir, CEO of Art Diamonds Limited, Mr. Krishnamurthy, Director of Finance of Midani, esteemed colleagues and friends. It's a very great day, and we can learn lots of things from our respected secretary. Yesterday only, he was conducting a very, very important conference where Minister for Public Enterprises, Minister for State Public Enterprises, CAG, and hosts of policymakers from various states were there. Organizing such a conference was a daunting task. During his brief tenure, he has been hardly there for a year, but he has transformed the Department of Public Enterprise. Now it's Department of Public Enterprise in no sense for central public enterprises, though our respected secretary is going to talk on central public enterprises, but as you were telling Minister yesterday, you are no more a minister of the central government. Public sector enterprises are there at the central level and at the state level, and they are now SOEs, state-owned enterprises. And SOEs have public investment, and therefore they become a matter of public scrutiny. And Minister, very readily I get to that, a sort of, I think, mentor to the minister who comes from Maharashtra, has the private sector background, but then, telling him a lot about public sector. And minister, I think, noting all the time and accepting the importance of the public sector, what Mr. Bandyopadhyay told was a very, very great thing to see. And now this center has really become participative. Yesterday when I was in that hall, I felt it was a mini India. There was no state which was not represented. Mr. Bhalerao was busy yesterday with the bill in the assembly, but then our respected secretary gave me an opportunity to come over there, and I was representing Andhra Pradesh not only on behalf of IP, but also I had met Bhalerao sir only just the other day with the work that secretary had there. I was representing Andhra Pradesh also. During such a brief period, we can now say if Shankaracharya could transform the country, just before 32 years of his age, Mr. Bandyopadhyay has taken no time, in 1 year's time, he has made the concept of MOU very possible. Now MOU is there not only with 4 enterprises, as I was listening to him yesterday, such depth attention, he mentioned that MOU is now being signed by 200 enterprises. Number one. Number two, though people could not transform the concept of Navatna, sir, I think I would like to submit that you have done it because you gave a new concept to the country, you gave the concept of Maharatna. And we need, I think, we need such secretary.
We have to be accepted by the cabinet. Don't tell it now.
But we need, I think, such policy makers who can always make people feel that we are in the race of competition. There is no end to progress. You have to keep on working like what great poet told that. You have to go, to miles before you sleep. So he's bringing out the concept of Maharatna, and I think I'm sure that in his mind which will overtake the concept of champions in Korea. And the third important thing is, as I just told you, no more central public enterprise only, also state enterprise. Sir, this morning itself, even the revenue department, the principal secretary revenue for government of Andhra Pradesh, revenues of states are drying. Mr. Bhalerao also, I met him the other day and he was telling the same thing. And investment in the state enterprises is is very, very high, as Mr. Bandyopadhyay, was mentioning yesterday, and CNG was mentioning, about 3,50,000 crores is the investment, and the return is not there, and revenue losses of the state governments, 60% of those revenue losses are coming from the state enterprise. In fact, there are some states in North East where revenue losses are 100 and over percent, incurred by the state enterprise. In such a short time, he has transformed the scenario. Not only that, he is trying his every bit to, the minister, I happened to attend the other meeting, and I think what now he has been trying is that better enterprises should become the best, and good enterprises should become better, and those who are underperforming and not performing, they should be performing much more. So I think it's a great thing that is happening. I'll say, Mr. Ramanand was reading up the budget, it appears very clearly that you are a man of letters. And we need, I think, to learn a lot from you. I take this opportunity of thanking you. You are extremely busy. I know again you are busy, but you have been very considerate and kind. Not because you are on the board of government of the institute, so you have to certainly take care of this institute, but you also have the urge of making our faculty very, very versatile. And this time, the whole event is restricted only to faculty and very senior persons of the King City. We are extremely grateful that you have traveled from Delhi to Hyderabad, and you are giving this very important day to my colleagues at the institute. And again, once on behalf of President, on behalf of the board of directors, on behalf of my colleagues, I express our gratitude to you for coming over and going to speak on such an important topic. I also welcome once again our esteemed invitees, Mr. Bhadrao, Mr. Jaispal, Mr. Krishnamurthy, and all those who have come from also the press. Thank you.
Director of the Institute, my friend and colleagues, Bhadrao, all other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, present here. When I was invited to give a lecture known as the Distinguished Lecture, I was feeling a bit hesitant. Because some of you may be knowing I had talked to you earlier about a year back, immediately after my joining, I had lunch with the faculty members. I normally speak on subjects, and before I speak on the subject, I assure two things. One is that nobody will fall asleep, and the second thing is that everybody will participate, all the persons will participate. These are the two assurances normally I give when I start a session. So, but the distinguished lecture, as many of us know, it continues for 1 hour, 2 hour monologue type of thing. And both the assurances that I gave, I was feeling hesitant that may not remain fulfilled if I start giving that type of lecture. 20 pages, if I go on reading, then many of you will fall asleep and obviously nobody will be able to participate. So I was thinking what to do. In spite of my session with all the state government senior principal secretaries and secretaries, this was in the back of my mind. So what I did is day before yesterday and yesterday sometime I could take in the evening, that the lecture portions I have brought into again in bit slide form, and then we can develop on that so that it will remain still more interesting, and my basic assurance is that nobody will fall asleep. That will remain to be true. So let us start with that. So as has been told, see, our first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, used to call the temples of modern India. That's how the PACs he has described again and again. And believe me, I have visited a very large number of PACs in the country, CPACs in the country. And almost all the old CPACs, I found that Pandit, the first Prime Minister, and later on, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, they have visited almost all the cities. In fact, the guest houses, whoever are the caretakers, they very proudly tell that their Panditji stayed in this room, or Mrs. Gandhi stayed in That is how, that is the history of the PSCs. That is the support, that is the glamour, that is the pride that the CPSCs had all over the time. Now, let's see how the growth of the central public sector enterprises, and as Professor Mishra has said, the central public sector enterprises or the P's as a whole, they are on the crossroads. So what do we mean by the crossroads, and what are we doing, what are the challenges ahead, how one can overcome those type of things? We'd like to see this. This I will skip for the time being, I will come to this thing later. Now what is the public sector by definition? As you all know, you are running different courses for the executives of the central public sector. You are very conversant with that. I have just taken historically some of the milestone years, milestone programs, how the definitions and how the programs have been changed. Central public sector covers enterprises established by the Government of India as government companies under the Companies Act or as statutory corporation under the Specific Status of One. For the time being, we are not considering the banking, insurance companies and financial institutions, not within that scope. But they obviously are also public sector, but we call them PSBs, public sector banks. What are the objectives? From the different documents, from the first plan onwards, more important in the second plan period, to ensure the rapid economic development and industrialization, to create necessary infrastructure for economic development, to create employment opportunities, to promote balanced regional development, to assist the development of small-scale and ancillary industries, and to promote import substitution, safe and earned economic. These were the broad objectives on the basis of which the public sectors have been developed. Import substitutions was a very, very, very fast. A young country which was getting developed, not getting much technical help. It was to depend on the others, on the more developed countries, the Western countries. So the founding fathers, they decided that we have to develop an industrial base. Many of you might have heard in your families, from your parents, or even from your teachers when you were school students, that even a blade has to be imported. Even the small knives have to be imported. Those are the stage of the country in the early 50s. And from there, within 2 decades, the 70s and 80s, we had come a long way thanks to the great visions of those visionaries in the 50s and 60s. Public sector policies, the Industrial Policy Regulations of 1948 reserved all basic and strategic industries for the public sector. A strong public sector was considered essential to achieve this objective. Now today, there are some criticism, maybe very valid criticism, but if you go back to the 1948, to that scenario, mentally if you go to that situation, as I said, not a blade, and proper blade has to be imported, and that is the type of situation. You can see some reasons behind it, and of course, with time it has changed, and the government of India is also changing its policy. Will come. Then comes the next milestone in the historical period, the industrial policy of 1956. 48, that is the regulations, and 56, the industrial policy. To help the rapid economic growth and industrialization, this is, many of you who are particularly economics, with the economics background, remember the Mahalanobis model, of growth. So how the CPSCs have been properly taken into account or how they have been roped in the Mahalanobis model. To help the rapid economic growth and industrialization of the country and to create the necessary infrastructure for economic growth. So, machine making machines, industries which will make machines and the machines in turn will produce employment. That was the role given to the CPSEs. To help in the rapid economic growth and industrialization of the country and to create the necessary infrastructure for economic development. Industrial policy of 1956 to promote redistribution of income and wealth continues. That was the same thing has come twice. To create employment opportunities, to promote balanced regional development. This is a very important point in the country which has just become free. To promote balanced regional development. Wherever a large CPSE was set up, the CPSE was not set up just as a small industry or something. It has developed a township. It has opened up the area. It has also established schools, established roads, infrastructure. So the entire area was opened up and been connected with the main commercial center, main urban city centers. So that was the role of the CPSEs. To assist the development of small scale and ancillary industries, large number of ancillary industries. If you see the role of the BAL, BHEL, ITI, you can see still now very large number of ancillary industries are dependent on this type of industry. To promote import substitution, save and earn foreign exchange for the country. So this was in 56, the beginning of the second plan, as I said, the Mahalanobis model of the development. Then the next big milestone came in the industrial policy of 1991, this economic liberalization.